Hey everyone, it's Sunny. I did not think that I was like a big friends to lovers trope reader, but recently I was like, wait, I kind of have read a lot of friends to lovers books and I kind of have really enjoyed a lot of them. So today I'm going to be recommending some of my favorite friends to lover books. Not all of these are like romance books, like in the romance genre. Some of them are, but some of them are also in other genres, but they have a friends to lovers romance in them. I am not going to officially recommend Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, but y'all already know what it is. That book has friends to lovers, enemies to lovers. It has a variety. That is one of my favorite friends to lovers romances of all time. Okay, so the first friends to lovers that I would recommend, this is actually like this is like a guilty pleasure read. Okay, you know what? No, I don't feel guilty about this. Live Your Truth. It's On the Fence by Casey West, and I really enjoyed this book, and it was kind of out of pocket for me because normally I don't really enjoy contemporary YA romances, but this one really got me. I honestly think it's because the main character is like a little bit generic enough. A wide variety of people I feel like would be able to self-insert, and by wide variety I do mean the default demographic. Needless to say, I don't think that I would be able to like I don't think that I would be able to very accurately self-insert. It's like physically impossible. But I feel like she is like a little bit generic enough that you can like kind of relate to her, kind of imagine that like, this is happening to you. Anyway, and this is kind of like a childhood friends to lovers, and it's the trope of like, it's almost like the brother's best friend trope. It's a romance between a girl named Charlie and her next door neighbor named Brayden, and they're pretty much like family. Like Charlie has like a million brothers, and all of her brothers and her are like best friends with Brayden, so it's very much like he's like a brother to me. So basically this one summer, Charlie has to like take a job at this like, high-end boutique. Charlie is very much like not into fashion. I think that she's supposed to be written to be like very like tomboyish, you know? So then she basically has to like navigate a new life. The whole thing here is that every single night, her and Brayden, like in like the dead of night, congregate like at the fence that separate their backyards, and they have like these deep conversations. You can already imagine the camera shot of this, of like the fence in the middle, and they're both like back to back and like looking up at the sky, and then they slowly like fall in love. Obviously I think that it's really cute because Brayden is the one who like catches feelings for her first. Homegirl has no idea, and so for the majority of the book, it's like Brayden obviously simping over Charlie, and then she has to slowly like realize that she's falling in love with him too. And I love that trope. I'm such a sucker for that. This book honestly like kind of slaps. Like it's kind of like fluffy enough. So yeah, On the Fence by Casey West. Don't sleep on it. Okay, the next two that I'm going to talk about I mentioned in my summer reading recommendation. Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This is a friends to lovers between basically Josh and Hazel become like adult best friends, and throughout this book they make a game of like setting each other up on like blind dates, and like the four of them go on double dates together. But obviously it's like Josh and Hazel who are like falling in love with each other. Oh my gosh, kind of like Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's origin story. Like they both were on double dates with not each other, but then very obviously like sparks were flying between them. That exact same thing happens in this book with Josh and Hazel. I think what's funny here is that their characters are very different. Like Josh is pretty like calm and cool and collected all the time, and then Hazel's kind of like off the wire, very like out there, very quirky. That character dynamic is honestly really funny. Like when Josh is going through a pretty bad breakup at the beginning of the book, it's Hazel who like helps him out, and that's how they bond and become really good friends. Oh my gosh, also Josh is Korean, which I didn't know when I first picked this book up, so that was just like a lovely surprise. The other book that I talked about was People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Oh my gosh, I love this book so much. This is a slow burn friends to lovers because it literally takes place over the course of like 12 years, and this is a really good like opposites attract romance as well. We follow Poppy and Alex, and they had been like best friends since the freshman year of college. Every single summer they would go on vacation together up until 2 summers ago when something happened on that vacation, and we don't know what it is, but they haven't really spoken since. Poppy now throws like a Hail Mary and like convinces Alex to go on one last vacation together so that they can like figure their stuff out and like try to rescue their friendship. It's told in like flashbacks, like alternating timeline chapters. In the present chapters, you're following that vacation they're taking together right now, and then every other chapter it flashes back to every year's vacation leading up to like that fatal one. You're kind of like trying to figure out what happened, and like the build-up is so amazing. Poppy and Alex's chemistry is absolutely their friendship. I always like enjoy a slow burn more than a quick burn. Like Josh and Hazel is kind of like a quicker burn. This one is like a true slow burn. The angst, astronomical. I just think that this is like the perfect beach read. Bring it on a beach trip with your best friend who you're secretly in love with. Oh my gosh, that would hit so different. I just like wrote a whole love story in my head just now. Anyway, the next friends to lovers book that I would recommend is Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This one is an adult romance and it's pretty steamy too. We follow a woman named Chloe Brown and she like works with computers, like computer programming and stuff. But after she has like a near-death experience, she's like, I need to get a life. She creates this checklist that will like help her get a life, and she gets help from the superintendent of her apartment. And so they're like helping each other out and they become friends. They quickly become more than that. After they become lovers, you still see a lot of like that friendship side to them. Like they're joking around and their banter is really, really sweet. Low-key kind of like enemies to friends to lovers. Yeah. If you don't like smut, low-key, I don't really like smut. Probably don't pick this book up. But if you do, I think that you'll probably really like Chloe Brown. The next friends to lovers book I would recommend is Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. Oh my gosh, this book is low-key underrated. I feel like there was a little bit of hype for this when it first came out, and then it quickly died down, and I don't know why, because I really enjoyed this book. I should reread it. This one is a YA fantasy. Low-key gives like Six of Crows vibe in terms of like the setting. We follow a girl named Salta, and her mother goes missing, so then she has to go to like this city. It's called like the City of Sin, and it's like ruled by like gangs, like criminal activity, like stuff like that. So she goes to that city and she has to get help from this guy named Levi. Levi is a street lord. Definitely Anne and Levi romance was my favorite part of this book. I feel like it was relatively slow burn. I just think that everybody is a sucker for like, he's supposed to be like very brutal, sketchy, shady, but like he grows a soft spot for Anne. I will always like jump aboard. And if you do too, then you should read this book. Okay, and then the last book that I'll talk about in this video is Happily Ever After by Elise Bryant. This one is like if you want an extremely fluffy, cute, light, young romance. This one is also a very slow burn, and you're gonna get a cavity when you read this. It's about a girl named Tess, and she's like an aspiring writer, and she ends up being accepted into this like prestigious writing program. Except when she gets there, she has like the biggest writer's block ever. Doesn't know what to do about it, so she starts pursuing this romance with this guy at her school. Tess also has like a friendship. It's kind of like a very like reluctant friendship with like the neighbor who also goes to that school. He's in the cooking program. He's so freaking adorable. Such a good guy. It's kind of the trope of like she has her eyes on someone else, but she doesn't realize that like what she's been looking for has been here the whole time. Very much like those vibes. It's really sweet, it's really wholesome, and also has like good discussion about like friendship and imposter syndrome. It's basically the whole package, so go ahead and read that if you want something very like light and fluffy. Anyway, those are all the friends to lovers book recommendations that I have for you today. Obviously there's a lot more. Obviously I'm like really like sliding down this slide reading friends to lovers romances. Yeah, that is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more from me, and stay safe. Goodbye.